The Singapore Racecourse at Kranji will run its final race in October next year before it closes for good by March 2027. Now, the government says that the site will be redeveloped as part of plans to rejuvenate the northern region. And it also comes amid declining in-person attendance at the races, which plunged by more than 70% last year. That's compared to 2010. Tan Soo Hui with the story.
The Singapore Turf Club, one of the country's oldest clubs and a champion of horse racing for nearly 2 centuries. And in 4 years' time, it'll come to the end of its final chapter. In 1999, the Singapore Turf Club moved to its current location in Kranji. That's after relocating from Bukit Timah, which had to make way for residential development. So at Kranji, it may suffer the same fate yet again. The racecourse sits on about 120 hectares of land. That's larger than the size of Gardens by the Bay. Authorities say the area will be redeveloped for housing and other purposes, including leisure and recreation. And they expect to carry out studies to assess the area in the next 2 to 3 years and come up with a master plan.
I reckon that as we develop the master plan, we will take into account the surrounding context and see to what extent we can have an element of greenery within the site preserved, for instance.
Second Minister for Finance and National Development, Indrani Raja, says it was not an easy decision, but a necessary one.
Over the past few years, we have taken back golf courses, we have taken back other areas. Singapore is getting to the stage where there's less green field for you to build on. You actually have to build brown field. So there will be a time when you have to take back estates or take back precincts and rebuild.
She also notes the land's potential, especially as it's right next to the Kranji MRT station. That's why she says the plan must make sure the land is put to optimal use for today and future generations. The government will also work with stakeholders to document the Singapore Turf Club's heritage before it's gone.
A Singapore Turf Club employees say they were sad and disappointed to hear of the impending closure of the racecourse at a town hall meeting this afternoon. This despite news that support will be given to all stakeholders to ensure a smooth transition. The Singapore Manual and Mercantile Workers Union say they are now discussing workers' retrenchment benefits with the Turf Club. Aslam Shah tells us more.
For Mr. Teo Yam Chun, the Singapore Turf Club has been his second home for over 3 decades. And the end of horse racing for him paints an uncertain future.
If there are opportunity to move on, I will move on. If not, then I may have to think of retirement. Something to do, find activities to move on.
The government says it will work with Tote Board, STC and other stakeholders to ensure a smooth transition for employees. These include counselling, skills training and job placement assistance. But despite this, some employees who've been at the Kranji Racecourse since its move from the old Bukit Timah site remain disheartened.
Definitely we feel sad and disappointed, because after serving I've been working here for about 23 years now. We have seen the place started from day one until now. We have gained a lot of improvement and made this place a world-renowned racetrack, and now it's closing. That's why we feel a bit disappointed.
The last event here will be the 100th Grand Singapore Gold Cup held in October next year. The club and the government will be offering support to racehorse owners, as some 700 horses will be exported by 2027.
Racehorse trainers will also receive support for horse maintenance until they are exported. Some 10 tenants at the racecourse will also be affected by the closure. Singapore Turf Club says they will honour their contractual obligations until it closes in 2027.
Here's a look back at more than 180 years of horse racing here in Singapore. Now, the Singapore Turf Club was founded as the Singapore Sporting Club in 1842 by a Scottish merchant and a group of horse racing enthusiasts. It was then located at Farrer Park. Now, its first race was the following year, and that was to mark the anniversary of Singapore's founding by Sir Stamford Raffles. The club only took its present name in 1924. Now, that's the same year that the first Singapore Gold Cup was held. That very event will be the club's last race in October of 2024, and it will be a photo finish as the 100th Singapore Gold Cup. The racecourse has had quite the growth spurt through time as well. It moved to a larger venue in 1933 to cater to growing racing interest. The Bukit Timah Racecourse was officially opened by the governor in April of that year. And the club would remain at Bukit Timah for more than 60 years. Its final move, that was in 1999, to Kranji, where we will see this chapter of Singapore history close out.